In the early hours of a cold winter morning, the Russian army advanced across the snowy plains, their breath visible in the frigid air. The sound of boots crunching on snow was the only noise, as the soldiers moved with a grim determination. The war had been raging for months, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Villages lay in ruins, and the once bustling towns were now ghostly echoes of their former selves. The people lived in fear, unsure of what the next day would bring. In a small village near the front lines, an elderly woman named Olga tended to her garden, despite the war raging around her. She found solace in the simple act of nurturing life, even as destruction loomed ever closer. Olga's grandson, Ivan, was a soldier fighting on the front lines. Each day, Olga prayed for his safety, clutching a worn photograph of him in his uniform. Her heart ached with worry, but she remained hopeful. One day, a letter arrived from Ivan. It was brief, but it brought Olga a sense of relief. He was alive, though the battles were fierce and the conditions harsh. He promised to return home as soon as he could. As the war dragged on, the village became a refuge for those displaced by the fighting. Olga opened her home to several families, sharing what little she had. Her kindness became a beacon of hope in the darkness. The seasons changed, and with them, the tide of the war. The Russian army began to gain ground, pushing back the enemy forces. There was talk of a possible end to the conflict, though no one dared to believe it fully. Finally, the day came when the guns fell silent. The war was over, and the soldiers began to return home. Olga waited anxiously at the village square, her eyes scanning the faces of the returning men. At last, she saw Ivan, weary but alive. Tears filled her eyes as she embraced him, grateful for his safe return. The village celebrated, though the scars of war would take time to heal. Life slowly returned to normal, but the memories of the war lingered. Olga continued to tend her garden, a symbol of resilience and hope. The village, though changed, began to rebuild, looking towards a brighter future.